Hello everyone, my name is Hanish. I'm a partner at HSK and Associate, a chartered accountant firm specializing in the field of GST and other indirect taxes. Today we are here to discuss about some basic concepts relating to e-invoicing. Okay. Now, as all of us are aware, e-invoicing is going to be mandatory for any person having a turnover exceeding 100 crores effective from 1st January 2021. It is already mandatory for those entities having a turnover more than 500 crores. The limit has been reduced from 500 crores to 100 crores from 1st January 2021. But the word e-invoicing is actually incorrect, meaning it's uh, wrongly used, because e-invoicing not just covers the invoices but it also covers the credit note and debit note, and that mechanism is also covered under the e-invoicing. Second, there is a general misconception that when we talk about e-invoicing, the government wants us to go to the GST portal or to some other portal, give all the information of our invoice and generate the invoice from the government portal itself. I would like to clarify here that e-invoicing is none of these. E-invoicing merely does not cover invoices, it covers a lot of other documents relating to GST. And second, e-invoice does not expect us to go to the government portal to generate invoices. It only requires us to generate a special 64-digit number called invoice reference number. Okay, more about it in subsequent slides. But as of now, suffice for us to understand that e-invoicing does not expect us to go to a special portal. Okay, whatever procedure we are following till now for raising the invoice, the same procedure will continue even when e-invoicing is applicable to our company. Okay. Like I mentioned, it is mandatory for 500 crores, and now it gets mandatory even for companies having a turnover more than 100 crores. Okay. Now, first thing generally we like to know is, what if I don't generate an e-invoice? Now, if you don't generate an e-invoice and you being a supplier, then you will be leviable to penalty, which is 10,000 rupees per invoice. Okay, but the most important thing is that I am told that e-invoicing portal will be linked to e-waybill portal, and once it is mandatory for you to generate invoices electronically, you will not be able to go to the e-waybill portal for generating the e-waybills except for delivery challan. So wherever there is a supply, you will not be able to use the e-waybill portal to generate e-waybill. So that is very, very important. And second, the recipient can claim the credit only based on a tax invoice, and when you as a supplier are required to generate invoice electronically, a invoice other than an electronic invoice will not be treated as a tax invoice, which means recipient has a risk of losing the credit of taxes what you have charged to him. Now this also means that as a company, whether e-invoicing is applicable to us or not, even if our turnover is less than 100 crores, we will have to ensure that all our vendors are compliant with e-invoicing rules, because if they are having a turnover more than 100 crores and they don't generate an e-invoice but give us a regular invoice, then the taxes charged by them will be disallowed in our hands as input tax credit. So what do we do then? In that case, check whether all our vendors, at least the major vendors, are liable to generate invoice electronically or not. We'll look at how you can verify that in subsequent slides. Okay. Also collect a declaration from all your vendors that if you that they are aware that they are required to generate invoices electronically if their turnover is more than 100 crores, and that their turnover is less than 100 crores if they are not giving us a e-invoice. And also collect a declaration from them that in case they are required to generate a e-invoice but they don't give us an e-invoice, and because of which we are denied the credit, then such credit will be recovered from them along with interest and penalty. Okay, really very important action to be taken in the next 1 month. Okay, now when is e-invoice applicable? E-invoice is applicable in case of entities having turnover more than 100 crores. Now what do you mean by turnover? Turnover here means any turnover. It could be taxable, it could be exempt, it could be export, it could be SEZ supplies, it could be stock transfer from one branch in a state to another branch in another state. Okay, so any turnover will be part of the aggregate turnover, and this aggregate turnover is not just the last year turnover from 17-18 to till now. Any year, if my turnover is more than 100 crores, then I become liable to generate invoices electronically. Okay, but the entities which are not liable for e-invoicing is a SEZ unit. Please be careful here. There are two types of SEZs: SEZ developers and SEZ units. SEZ developers having a turnover more than 100 crores are required to generate the invoice electronically, but SEZ units, even though their turnover is more than 100 crores, is not required to generate the invoices electronically. Now we are talking from a supply side. What if my customer is a SEZ unit? If my customer is a SEZ unit, I will have to generate a e-invoice if my turnover is more than 100 crores, right? Now, apart from that, four other businesses also, they have said that will not be required to comply with the e-invoicing procedure. As far as documents are concerned, B2B invoices have to be electronically generated. B2C invoice not required. GST credit note, that is any credit note where we are reversing GST also, or any debit note where we are adding the GST, or export invoices where there is no GST at all. Okay, these documents will have to be generated electronically. Okay, but what are the documents I don't have to cover in e-invoicing? B2C invoices, financial credit note not having impact on GST, financial debit note not having impact on GST, self invoice under reverse charge mechanism when I receive services which are liable to tax under reverse charge mechanism, delivery challan, and exempt or non GST sales like alcohol, right? So few questions here for all of us. Can an entity with less than 100 crore turnover opt for e-invoicing? As of now, optional e-invoicing is not available. Only if you are mandatory, if you are required to under law to generate invoices electronically, you will be allowed to. So even if I want to voluntarily, assuming that my turnover is 50 crores, and it might take 6 months for me to have the e-invoicing requirement under the notification, but still I want to go ahead and generate the invoices today. Not possible. Okay, should a SEZ developer having turnover exceeding 100 crores generate e-invoice? Yes, he is a SEZ developer. Okay, a business having a turnover of 100 crores, so exceeding 100 crores, should they raise e-invoice on supplies to SEZ unit? Yes, they have to, because the exemption has been given to outward supplies of the SEZ unit and not of any other person. Okay, then how will the entire e-invoicing thing work? Okay, so you raise your invoice the way you have been regularly raising. Now this invoice has to be converted to JSON. Like today we are filing returns in the JSON format. You will have to convert this invoice into a JSON format. How to do that? We'll discuss that. Okay, push it to the IRP, invoice reference portal. What is that portal? We'll discuss that in some time. Okay, it will validate whether it is an invoice which has been invoice number which was already uploaded, or this is the first time the invoice is being uploaded. And once it is validated, it will give us a 64-digit IRN, invoice reference number, and it will give us a QR code. Okay, now I can in my system store this IRN and the QR code in my ERP. Okay, and then the system, again the IRP, will communicate all these details to the e-waybill portal, and the e-waybill will get generated. It will communicate with the GST portal, and my GSTR1 will get auto populated, and I can send this invoice to my customer in the JSON format. His GSTR2A gets updated, and my accounting gets updated because I have raised the invoice. And the most important part, if the customer has a ability, or his accounting package has a ability to read this JSON file, then the purchase also can be accounted automatically. So not just the sale, but also the purchase will be accounted automatically using this JSON. So the objective, one of the objective of issuing guidelines is relating to e-invoice, so that everybody generates invoice electronically, is to ensure that we have a common format in which the data can move, which is in machine readable format. See, today what is happening, we have Tally, we have some other ERP like SAP, Oracle. SAP data can be understood by SAP, Oracle data can be understood by Oracle, the Tally data can be understood by Tally, but we don't have a common data point which can be read by all the accounting systems. Okay, this JSON format will help us in getting a machine readable format. Okay, now what is this IRP and IRN? A typical IRN will be a 64-digit number, which is a combination of your GST number, the year in which the invoice has been raised, the invoice number, etc. Okay, it will be run. IRP will be run by NIC. Okay, it will hold the data for 24 hours. It is not that once you have uploaded the invoice, it will always have the data. It will hold the data only for 24 hours. It will only check whether the invoices which you have uploaded are unique numbers or not. It is not going to check that okay, it is a CGST SGST invoice but you have charged IGST. It will do basic sanitization of data but not detailed verification. Okay, we can cancel the invoice within 24. I'm sorry, there 48 hours have been written there, but it is actually 24 hours. Originally the plan was to give 48 hours, but now it has been reduced to 24 hours. The recent FAQ also mentioned that the cancellation will be available for 24 hours. Okay, invoice can be cancelled within 24 hours of generation, but if a valid or a active e-way bill is available, then the cancellation will not be possible. In that case, first we have to cancel the e-way bill and then come back and cancel the invoice. Okay, and the IRP will help in verifying the invoice. That's all. So if somebody sends you a e-invoice, if you want to see whether actually it is being generated electronically or not, then you can go to the IRP, put in the invoice number, and it will be able to help you identify whether this invoice has been electronically generated or not. Okay, then a QR code will also be given, and this is also mandatory to be mentioned. So in fact, QR code, one of the fields when we scan this QR code is IRN. So IRN may not be, the 64-digit number may not be mentioned on the invoice if QR code is there, but QR code mentioning on the invoice or printing on the invoice is mandatory. Okay, it is a machine readable QR code. So if you have a QR code reader on your phone, you can place it on the phone, on the invoice, and you will be able to fetch basic details like GSTN of the supplier, GSTN of the recipient, the value of the goods, and the GST charged on the same. Okay, now what are the options available for generating the invoice electronically? We can generate the invoices offline using the government tool. We'll actually have a look at how this can be generated. We can use a API, so we'll have to ask our software team to help us integrate the GST IRP with our accounting system, or we can use ASPs and GSPs. There are a lot of ASPs and GSPs. There is WebTel, there is ClearTax, there is GSTZen, who will be able to act as an interface between the IRP and our accounting package to generate these e-invoices. Okay, so we will have to compulsorily meet any one of these. Okay, depending on what their codes are done, depending on how comfortable we are, we will have to meet them and ensure that they help us in generating the e-invoices. So there is a trial which is done before the 1st of January 2021, so that on the first day there are no hiccups. Okay, now what can we do today actually? Okay, there are multiple things which we can do today. Check whether whether your turnover is more than 100 crores or not, and the system recognize you as you are a person who is required to generate invoices electronically or not. Now how do you do that? There is a website link which is being given here, e-invoice1 for dash trial.nic.in. Click on search, click on e-invoice status of taxpayer, mention your details, and one way of getting the details is you will get e-invoice is enabled for this taxpayer. That means the system recognizes that you are required to generate invoices electronically. Or second, you might get a error message that it has not been enabled for you. Okay, in that case you have to ask for enablement. Now how do you ask for enablement? If your turnover is more than 100 crores and it is showing not enabled, go to another website, einvoice1.gst.gov.in. Not available on trial version, you have to go to the actual website, registration and e-invoice enablement. There they'll ask you some details. OTP will be generated on the registered mobile ID, mobile number. Enter that and it gets validated. Okay, now do we want to generate an invoice electronically? I am suggesting all of us try this before 1st January 2021. How do we generate an invoice electronically? Download the bulk generation utility. The link has been given. Okay, it's also available on the website, e-invoicing website. Go to help tools, bulk generation tools. Okay, now step 2, once you have downloaded the tool, which is like a Excel utility, fill in all the details. What are those details? Very simple details which are available on all the invoices. Fill all those details. There are two options available there, validate and prepare JSON. Click on validate. If there are any errors, it will throw those errors, rectify those errors. If there are no errors, click prepare JSON. It will convert this utility file into a JSON file. Okay, save that on your desktop. Then log into your E Invoice trial portal and go to E Invoice bulk upload. Okay, that's here. You have E Invoice bulk upload. Okay, now it will ask you to upload the file which we created just now. Upload that file. Okay, if there are no errors, then invoice will get generated, and then you will be able to print that invoice. That's about it. That is as simple as that. I know it can be, I can very easily say that it is very simple, but when we have to generate multiple invoice at the same point in time, that's when there will be a lot of issues. So the first option available is offline utility, by which has been released by government, which is free of cost. Our friends who are on Tally, it's very simple. What you could do is, there are on the website of Tally, there are a lot of partners which have partners who have been enabled on the Tally website, and they're offering this solution at as low as 25,000 rupees. Okay, one time setup cost. So you can approach them. But any other any other clients who are on ERPs like SAP, Oracle, or Dynamics, you will have to take the help of your IT team, or you might have to approach a GSP or a ASP and see what is the solution which is best for you. If you have any queries on this, please feel free to call. You would have seen that not lot of value add can be given by us in terms of e-invoicing, because it's more of a system driven program, where the data from our accounting package has to move to a ASP or a GSP. From there it has to go to a IRN, which is more of a work of a IT team. But if there is any query which you have on, or any of the issues relating to e-invoicing, or if you're finding any problem in identifying a vendor, then please feel free to contact us on all these details, and we'll be more than happy to address all those queries of yours. Right, thank you very much, and hope to see you very soon. Thanks a lot.